it's recording now.
Yay.
Okay. So Magic Rising, special little project, trying to connect people in a virtual sense. The whole goal of this is trying to take a community that's divided by physical separation because of stupid COVID and get them connected in a different way, get them sharing. I say them, but it's really us, right? So it's us and all of our magical community, our family, our friends, everything. They can't go to physical festivals. Most of the time, you can't even gather in a larger group like your coven or your circle or your magical spiritual group. You can't even do that anymore. What are people doing out there? What are you doing since the past basically year of no festivals to keep magic alive?
Well, personally for me, I have to say I'm lucky, at least in that sense, because of the fact that you help, facilitate some of that with like the Moon Magic, the Moon Face Meetup group on Facebook, as well as I have still been, facilitating communication for Circle of Equals on our Circle of Equals camp page, reminding people about the holidays, saying happy holidays. I posted something on our Facebook page reminding people, about Great Works and, the proxies, because we do have some new people in our group where we don't have festivals. I explain to them, okay, this is how you do your proxy, this is who you need to submit it to. So that way their voices can be heard. I'm also lucky because of the fact that since I am still in college, I do go to Texas State and I'm part of the Pagan Student Fellowship at Texas State. PSF for short. We still, even during this time of COVID, this fall semester, we're still doing our Tuesday meetups. We're just doing them on Zoom. So that's been really nice, being able to do that and see like PSF people and the students that, this readily affects, like pagan students, who may not be out to their families, aren't out of the broom closet. So they still have a space where they can meet and talk to each other and things of that nature. So I've been able to maintain some sort of magical practice during all of this because of the resources that I have. Like I would have been going stir crazy if I did not have that.
From your experience, and you've been practicing for quite some time, you've been attending festivals for quite some time. What advice would you give to solitary practitioners who aren't parts of communities right now, who are used to only having festivals as their connection to the magical world? What advice would you give to those people to try to get that magic back and keep it up?
I think my advice would be for, solitary practitioners that typically only had, the biannual festivals, okay? Even if you're not, doing something major for, any of the holidays like Lammas or Mabon or even Samhain coming up, I would say look at it as a form of self-care. Even if it's just something like a candle on an altar or, finding an incense that reminds you of, that particular holiday. You can light an incense and, just 5-10 minutes, sit in front of it, kind of just sit with yourself and kind of just breathe in, that scent just to kind of connect with yourself, or even, find a way to incorporate, magic into cooking. I know we do have kitchen witches that are part of CMA, and a lot of them, really like to cook. Incorporate your magic into your cooking, even if it's something like you're cooking dinner for your roommates or something like that. Incorporate, your magic into your food, or for, people who enjoy taking, baths and self-care and skincare and everything like that. Make that a ritual. Add some essential oils to your bath, light an incense. Take that time as a way to take care of yourself. Because if you can't take care of yourself physically, then how can you take care of yourself magically?
Yeah, and that definitely goes hand in hand, right? Your emotional health, mental health, and physical health can be tied into your magical self. That's really good advice, the self-care aspect of it. I know that prior to CMA festivals, and I'm using CMA festivals as a big example because for me and hundreds of others around the Texas area especially, but even outside of that, CMA festivals are those 2 points a year where we get so excited and we ramp up and we think about the next festival before the current one's over sometimes. And so just kind of thinking about the feelings that you have of festival highs and then post-festival lows, how have you noticed that the social distancing COVID situation has impacted the normal flow of your excitement and then the post-festival stuff?
Well, because of the fact that the organization had to cancel not only Beltane, but Samhain as well, I have noticed that typically around the time when I would be planning for festival or planning to go to work your site or planning to like go to festival, I find myself in this point of where I'm actually, instead of excited and happy, I have found myself to like be really sad. I'm mourning the loss of something that I have been doing for twice a year for, God, it would have been 8 years in April that I would have been attending festivals. So for 8 years, you know, riding the highs and the lows and everything like that, and then just finding myself like, you know, sad around Beltane because it wasn't happening because COVID, and COVID is awful. And now, beginning of October, it's already a season anyways, where it's a little bit more subdued just because of what this holiday represents, you know, honoring your ancestors, honoring those who have come before you. It's also a good time to reflect and realize, yes, I am sad, okay? I am sad that festival isn't happening. I am sad that I'm going to be missing my magical community. Also at the same time, like I can tie that in, you know, for this season. And it's okay to mourn something that is important to you. But just like we say, you know, the wheel turns and everything will come back around. Just as the wheel is turning and we're going into the darker half of the year, COVID is turning and it's going into the darker half of the year. And eventually the light will return and, you know, things will begin to grow again and we will find, you know, growth and nurturing and we will come out of the other side of this.
Yeah, that's actually pretty inspiring because I think a lot of people might be stuck in that sadness rut. And so that's a really inspiring message. I know CMA volunteers have been hard at work behind the scenes with a virtual CMA Samhain Festival, which taking the energy that we have in the people who attend festivals and get that physical sense of magic out of it and the community that they have out there between workshops every day and connection through revelry every night, and that happening for several days. Are you going to attend the virtual CMA Samhain?
Yes, it is my intent to actually attend the virtual CMA Samhain.
What are some of your expectations, reservations, and points of excitement for the virtual festival?
One of my main points of excitement, you know, is the fact that the board is willing to do a, you know, main ritual. Okay, they're doing a main ritual for honoring the ancestors and honoring those who have passed, you know, over the last year. So I'm super excited for. Like, I understand that, you know, this is hard, you know, trying to get a community that has anywhere between 300 and 500, sometimes more, you know, people who go twice a year. So trying to facilitate all of this on a, you know, streaming platform. I applaud the board, you know, for going that extra mile because a lot of people, you know, the main rituals are, you know, what they went for, what they looked forward to. One of my reservations is, you know, because of the fact that they are doing it via a live stream and everything like that, I know that there are going to be issues, you know, internet connectivity, you know, how many people are going to be in a room at once, you know, the possibility of things freezing, computers crashing. So I will be interested to see, you know, how well this works and how the organization utilizes this platform going forward.
And membership should be more than just 2 festivals a year. And in your thoughts and your hopes and expectations, do you feel like this virtual festival and this year has demonstrated that we need a community within CMA as members, you and I, that we need a community within CMA beyond festivals?
Yes, because while the 2 times a year is great, you know, this is not the first time that a festival has had to be canceled. Believe it or not, my first festival was actually supposed to be Samhain of 2011. But because of all the fires that were happening in Bastrop, the festival got canceled.
I think my headphones just died.
Yeah, it was going on and off mute.
So, and I know a lot of people were upset when that happened as well, and they completely understood. Bastrop fires, like Bastrop County was burning. They do have weekends every other, you know, weekend and everything like that. And that's great, honestly, for people who, you know, want to go out to the land, volunteer their time and everything like that, to help get projects done, work on campsites, because sometimes you just can't make it to work your site, or you can make it to work your site, but you only make it for one day. But, for people who can't make it to work ends because their jobs don't allow it, they live 4 hours away. I definitely think that, as a community member, the community does need something more than just 2 festivals a year. Having something else to facilitate for the community outside of work ends, outside of the biannual festivals would, I think, honestly be a great resource, because of the fact that, they're not just engaging their closer community like Central Texas, Austin, you know, that's San Antonio area, because we're all the closest ones, but, they're reaching out to, like the Houston people, Dallas, West Texas area.
CMA as a whole. And then beyond that, it's the magical community as a whole, and seeing this whole big separation from that physical connection that we all really magically prosper from. Hundreds of people are looking for something more than just festival. They're sitting at home, not having that connection, not having that community, because it's all reliant on virtual connection. From your perspective, what would be the best piece of advice that you could give to the pagan community at large?
I think the best piece of advice that I could give to like pagan community at large, and not just pagan community at large, but people I consider family out at land. Like, a lot of us are connected on Facebook, social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all sorts of things, YouTube, especially, Zoom. We have this platform. Do not be afraid to reach out to your community members, your family members, your groups, the people that you spend time with, the ones that you are more than willing to have them see you, walk around in a towel, for God's sakes. Find a way to keep those connections alive, even if you can't go see them in person, because we have to stay connected somehow. And if we don't start it, then who will?
Kady, thank you so much for taking the time out of your probably very busy day, sharing your side of things and your experiences and tips and tricks and feelings and thoughts.
Well, thank you. Well, Amanda, it was great. Honestly, this was a pleasure. This was fun. And I feel like this is a great way to, get the word out there, get out there to help people.
I'm more inspired every time I talk to somebody, to be honest. And so I'm going to walk away and just think, what can I do to be more magical today?